So while on the other side of the world, the United States prepares for war with Iran on behalf of Israel, of course, on our side of the world, we're hearing a lot of hysteria and interventionist clamoring from the government media industrial complex as they try to convince all of us that Mexico is on fire and that an American intervention is the solution. An American intervention is the only thing that can save both sides of the border from this cartel-ridden destruction. So on Sunday, El Mencho was killed, the leader of the Jalisco cartel, and he was killed by Mexican authorities. And that, we are told, is what sparked this nationwide campaign of destruction that could spin up into a full-scale civil war as cartels go around allegedly executing civilians and engaging in rolling firefights with law enforcement and the Mexican military. Now, initially, there were reports that this was a direct U.S. military operation. Those reports have since been walked back a bit, but there's this new Reuters report which cites U.S. government officials, and it says that the United States was indeed involved in whatever is happening in Mexico. The Reuters exclusive reads, quote, "A new U.S. military-led task force specializing in intelligence collection on drug cartels played a role in the Mexican military raid on Sunday that killed the Mexican drug lord known as El Mencho," a U.S. defense official told Reuters. The Joint Interagency Task Force, which is known as Counter Cartel, and involves multiple U.S. government agencies, was formally launched last month with the goal of mapping out networks of drug cartel members on both sides of the U.S.-Mexico border, U.S. officials said. The U.S. official, who spoke to Reuters on condition of anonymity, did not offer further details on any information that the U.S. military-led task force may have offered Mexican authorities. The official stressed that the raid itself was a Mexican military operation. A former U.S. official, speaking on condition of anonymity without referring specifically to the task force, said that the United States compiled a detailed target package for El Mencho and provided it to the Mexican government for its operation. This detailed dossier included information provided by U.S. law enforcement and U.S. intelligence, the former official said. So, in other words, this wasn't a Mexican operation. This was always a U.S. operation, which is what it should have been easily identified as from the very beginning, because factually that's true. That's what this was. And to put it even more accurately, this isn't even really truly a U.S. operation. This isn't being done by a government that represents you or I. This is a military operation that's being carried out by and on behalf of the cabal. And it doesn't just have the fingerprints of America's occupied government on it. Of course, this has the fingerprints of the Israeli government all over it as well. I'm sure that that doesn't surprise you. But from the very beginning, these Mexican drug cartels, these other Latin American drug cartels, so they're called, they have always been on the payroll of the United States and of Israel. Dating all the way back to at least the 1980s, these cartels have been trained, they have been armed, they have even been ordered around by American and Israeli military, law enforcement, and intelligence operatives. Under Ronald Reagan, the United States government was running cocaine with these guys. These same guys right into the United States, selling it to inner city blacks to create the crack epidemic. They did the same thing under George Bush. They did the same thing under Bill Clinton. And then they used the violence that was created by the crack epidemic as a pretext to push gun control and disarm the American people. Don't you see? These cartels are inseparable from our own government and from that government's Israeli handlers. And they're pretty inseparable from Mexico's Jewish president as well. Let's not forget that Claudia Sheinbaum took office only after these very same drug cartels killed off every single one of her political opponents, all of them. So why the hell would she want to wipe them off the map now? Well, the short answer is she doesn't. This is all part of a much larger, more organized campaign that will lead intentionally to the further destabilization of America's southern border, more government-backed violence, and a laundry list of excuses for ushering in the AI surveillance state, the likes of which most people at this point I don't even think could imagine. And again, the United States government used these same drug cartels and manufactured drug violence to ban guns just a few decades ago. And now they're putting pen to paper for a new chapter in the book where they use manufactured cartel violence, not just to take your guns, but to take your life as you know it. To usher in an AI surveillance state, the likes of which nobody could possibly fathom. The government, and the cartels are playing for the same team. They always have, and the corporate media is on that team as well. We had Jake GTV on the show last night. Speaking of the media, he was coming to us live from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, in first person right there, the so-called belly of the beast, where, according to the U.S. government and the corporate media, everything is on fire. But Jake's experiences, his first-person testimony, told us that he could just look right out of his window and see people playing tennis. Everyone was just going about their day. And at the same time, his phone was blowing up with messages from people back home here in the States warning him that he needed to get the hell out of Mexico, get out of there right now, because the corporate media said that these cartels are on their way to behead everybody. In case you missed it, here's what Jake GTV said last night.
I'm absolutely safe. Everything that they've been saying is going on. You know, we've been told that yesterday they said by 5 o'clock, if you don't, that the cartels are going to come in and they're going to start beheading people in their hotels. They're telling us all of this, basically trying to make us feel like the cartels are coming after us.
How are these messages being sent to you, by the way? Are you getting text messages from people saying that these beheadings were going to commence?
Text messages from people who are watching headlines from American news systems. So, you know, the cartel isn't the one going out speaking and saying, hey, we're going to go behead everybody. And then as soon as they didn't come at 5 o'clock, then the next narrative is, oh, they're going to come at nighttime to come and get you guys. And so when we're here in Mexico right now, everybody, like, you could look on the streets, everybody's just out driving. It's a normal day.
That just doesn't seem dangerous to me. It doesn't seem like Jake is concerned at all. And remember, he's there. He's in Puerto Vallarta. He was there for Anarchapulco. It's the same reason that I was in Mexico. I was there because Jeff Berwick, the founder of Anarchapulco, the dollar vigilante, a guy who talks a lot about plasma technology and the Tesla machine. He's been in the green room here. Actually, we've been having some technical difficulties. The power went out at his ranch. So we'll see if we can get him. I think he's here in the green room now. Jeff, thanks a lot for being here. We appreciate it.
Sorry, yeah, we're having a little power's going out here. It's nothing to do with what happened. I actually left Puerto Vallarta yesterday. As Jake was mentioning, things got pretty back to normal very quickly. It was like a what this was a staged false flag psychological operation terror attack is what it was. Basically around 8 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, all of a sudden, and we'd seen police all week. We don't like to see them. They're mostly extorting us for no reason whatsoever. But all of a sudden on Sunday morning, all the police, all the fire people, any sort of government people were gone. And all of a sudden there was like a burning bus at the corner of almost every street in Puerto Vallarta. And it was incredible how quickly they put it all together. There actually wasn't a lot of actual violence. There was just a lot of buses set on fire. A few people definitely did die, though, that I've heard eyewitness accounts of, which is fairly normal for their false flag attacks. They usually have to kill a few people to make it look more like legitimate, like it's real. Not to say it's not real, but it's not what everyone thinks it is. This, as you just pointed out so greatly, there's no difference really between the government and the cartels in Mexico. They're all controlled by the same people, and it's the same people who control the U.S. This is the same world over. A lot of these larger cartels are all CIA Mossad operations. They have been for a long time. We've known about U.S. guns and even Israel guns being sent to them constantly. It's essentially a form of like ISIS here in Mexico. And you know how they have ISIS fight Al-Qaeda every now and then? And ISIS is basically Mossad people and Al-Qaeda is basically CIA people. And people even in the groups might not even know who's actually controlling it all and pulling all the strings, but they do all of this to further their agendas. And that's exactly what this was. And it was incredible how within about 6 hours, everything was gone and everything just kind of returned back to normal. And then basically yesterday on Monday, all you saw, there was still no police. There was no one, like, I haven't seen the police for the last few days in Puerto Vallarta. I don't know where they went, but they were clearly told not to be there for this operation. And then a bunch of tow trucks just came away and just whisked off all the burnt vehicles like it was a movie set.